This is Divorce Shield Live, the weekly show for men that are thinking about going through or recovering from divorce. I'm John Knocklinger, the men's divorce coach and mentor. Today, my guest is Rebecca Johnson. She's a personal stylist with J. Hilburn in California. She also has one of the most varied and remarkable resumes I have ever seen, which we're going to be talking to her a little bit about today. Her goal is to help men look great and feel confident in any situation, including post-divorce. You can learn more about her at rebeccajohnson.jhilburn.com. Thank you for being here today, Rebecca.
John, thank you so much for having me. I've really been looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, I am so excited to talk to you. Maybe I can learn some tips myself for dressing good. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So as I already teased a little bit, you've got a pretty incredible work history before you became a stylist. So I want to back up and find out a little bit about you before you became a stylist. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have to say, I don't know that there was a before I became a stylist. I like to joke. I have a post on my website. I was a teenage stylist. My middle sister was not somebody who really understood how to manage her appearance. And she's gone on to become a big success. She is an engineer and had her own engineering firm. And when she went out and started her own firm, she dressed like an engineer. And she lived in Colorado, and she is a lesbian. So those were just like 3 strikes. And I said, no, you need to dress like a business owner. We're going to dress you like you. That's one of the biggest concerns I get from people, is that they think I'm going to try and cookie cutter them, or like, here's what's right, and I'm going to make you do what's right. That's not it at all. I bring out each individual's best self. So I took her shopping. We got her dressed as a business owner. Her business blossomed. It succeeded at the highest level. The mayor of her town, her city, put her on commissions, and she had a very successful business. So in doing that, which I've done my whole life since I was about 13, her friends started saying, hey, when is Rebecca coming to town? Can I borrow your sister? And out of that, and just doing it for friends, my business was born. And it is so rewarding. I mean, I love the results my clients get. They get the job, the bonus, the raise, the girl, whatever. But I feel like I just love creating that result for them. So it's super rewarding for me.
So before you were at this company they were at right now, what were you doing? Were you working on your own? Were you working for another company?
Well, I have a few different tools in my toolbox. Most of my career has been as a fundraiser. So I've spent a lot of time around high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals. And again, kind of backing up, I'm the first person in my family to go to college, to leave my hometown, to have a career with business cards instead of job. So when you're the first and you're walking into these rooms and these classes and these homes and these gatherings that I've never before experienced, I had to give myself a leg up. And that leg up was dressing appropriately, dressing to the highest level of my capacity. And that helped me when I was a young fundraiser in DC get past what I call the clipboard commandos, those people who stand at doors, and it's their job to turn people like me away. And but to be successful as a fundraiser, I had to be able to get past those people. And I invested in my professional attire, and it worked.
I don't think people really think about dressing for success as much as they really should. And I mean, there's a reason why we have that phrase, right? Dress for success, because, you dress for the job you want if you're going for a job interview. And, there's nothing worse than seeing somebody show up, at a banquet or a job interview or anywhere wearing clothes that don't fit, that look bad, that are mismatched, that don't look like them, that don't instill any kind of confidence in them. So I think it really, Yeah, go ahead.
That hurts my heart, because let me tell you what's going on inside of somebody who does any or some or all of those things. Their sense of their self and their value is painful to them. What is going on inside of them is they're just not nice to themselves, and that just absolutely hurts my heart. And the first thing I want to do when I see somebody like that is just give them a hug. Then I want to help them with the other things. I want to give you a quote from a book, and I want to see if you can guess what year this book was published. A man cannot get dressed, but that his ideas get clothed at the same time. When do you think that book was published?
Oh my. 1920?
1759.
Oh my.
So
Wow.
we human beings we know about this. We know about the importance of your appearance, your presentation, your attire, and the impact it has on others.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking about going and giving someone a hug that, has dressing issues. I think what's interesting is how people use the excuse of, well, I just don't really care. I'm not really into fashion. I'm really just not into any of this stuff. But I think you're right. It all comes from a place of, not really caring about yourself. What have you done when you've encountered somebody that had such significant mindset issues when they've approached you to help them with their style?
Gosh, the most serious case I had, because I do work with women as well, and this particular client was a woman, and I have a larger service. Well, I'll come into your home. I'll take everything out of your closet that's holding you back. I take you shopping, and then I put it all away so that you can move forward as the self you're going towards. And I got to her home, and the energy was just strange. And she would only let me into the garage, which had been converted. And she was the breadwinner, and she had a stay-at-home husband and 2 kids and a nanny. And I was just like, this is off. Anyway, we did the things. We went shopping, went back to, put it all away. And she's like, no, I'm good. I'll take care of it. And I was like, well, this is part of the service. You are paying for this. And she's like, no, it's fine. She told me 2 days later, she went to her usual Bible study at her church that she's gone to for years, and people didn't recognize her. And all I changed was her dress. But a few months later, she called me and asked if we could have lunch, which I was, happy to do. And she confirmed what I was concerned about. She told me that her husband was violent. She was a survivor of domestic violence. When she left, she couldn't go to her friends or family. She couldn't put them in danger. She had to go to a shelter. And that this transformation of the visual I gave her, the clothes I gave her, she was a banker. She was a very successful executive, but having this new vision of herself is what allowed her to put her situation behind her and start her life anew. So it makes a tremendous difference. And the point I really want to make, for people who say, I don't care, and fashion, all that, I never talk about fashion. I don't read fashion magazines. What I use is the science of dressing for success. And there is a tremendous amount of data, hard, cold facts, not my personal opinion, produced from scientific journals, Psychology Today, etc., that reinforce our top universities. I'll tell you one study they did a year and a half ago at Princeton. They were looking at how to take bias out of the interview process, and they were completely disheartened by their findings. And their final conclusion was, if you're looking for a job, you need to buy the most expensive garments you can. And if you're interviewing people for a job, you need to do it as much as possible over the phone and not visually seeing people, because it's just so intractable. What they did is they took pictures, say they took your picture of your face and then put it on different garments from inexpensive to expensive. And you guessed it, the more expensive the garment your face was put on, the higher people rated your abilities.
That is amazing. But it's true. We all have these
True.
biases. And what I think is interesting, what you were just when we're talking about clothes, it could apply to anything. I mean, there's so many things that people do that they just do for themselves, just to make them feel more confident, for them to exude this new aura. You know, we're talking in this context a little bit about how men after divorce kind of reinvent themselves. But like this woman that went to church and no one recognized her, it's probably because she was wearing the exact same thing all the time. Probably the same color, probably the same kind of print, probably the same style. And here's this new, just new dress. And it really does change you. I mean,
Her
people
whole
argue,
countenance, her whole
yeah,
countenance.
yeah. I mean, people do other things too, sometimes with makeup, sometimes people even have plastic surgery, not because they care what anyone else thinks, just because it makes them feel better. You could go on and on. So I'm really wondering, Rebecca, people come to you at some point. What do you think finally triggers them that I could really use someone like Rebecca's help to change the way that I'm dressing?
Usually, especially for your audience, men who are going through a transition in their personal life. Number one, maybe they don't have their personal shopper anymore. And I am a tremendous outsource solution. If you're a gentleman who does value your appearance, you know all these things, you agree with all these things, but gosh darn it, you are too busy being successful at what you're doing, a dad, all the other things that you'd much more prefer spending your time on than shopping, I am the best solution there is, because I meet with my clients any time of the day or night, weekday, weekend. Once I get their measurements, they're basically done. I do all the work for them, send them an email. They're like, I'll take that, that, and that. And then they've just shopped for their entire wardrobe. We offer everything from swim trunks to tuxedos. So for those guys who are like, ugh, I don't want to have to go back to the mall. I don't want to have to take time out of my work day, park at the mall, all those things. I'm a great solution at Time Saver. Also, I just started working with this gentleman in New Orleans and divorced after 25, 30 years, grown kids, successful, etc. And, of course, he tried to save his marriage and all those things, but that's not the final conclusion for them. And he was told how everything was his problem, what a terrible person he was going to die alone, nobody would want him. Lo and behold, he got divorced. He tells me he goes on 4 or 5 dates a week with different women. I mean, he's so charming. I love it when the phone rings and I see that it's him. I love spending time with him. So I find a lot of guys who have just really gotten the beat down, and need to know that whatever happened, probably there were 2 of you involved. Probably it's not all your fault. And most definitely, you're not a bad person. And you deserve happiness. My boyfriend is divorced and we live in California. So quite an expensive endeavor on his part. I just remind him every month when he writes that giant check, hey, this is an investment in your happiness. And, he tells me our relationship is like Disneyland. He didn't know this relationship was even possible. And his mother tells me, gosh, my son is aging backwards since he met you. He's younger every time I see him. So I really want you guys to know that the best is ahead of you, not behind you. I can imagine, I know through my boyfriend how hard it is when you're dealing with children and all those things. I'm not saying it's easy. And I actually think men get kind of a bad rap, because I think men naturally, it's not in their nature to separate from the mother of their children and their children. So for a man to be willing to take that step, things are really bad. It's not something a gentleman does lightly or for no reason. That being said, you deserve somebody in your corner, and it takes a team. I watched your last interview with the organizer. It just really takes a team. And I would love to be on their team because attire makes a huge difference. So we'd all like to think, oh, I judge people by their character, not their appearance. Well, I've got to tell you, if you're a Homo sapien, and we all are, that's not exactly what's happening.
That's definitely true. You're sort of starting to hit on this whole issue of worthiness, which is very important. I want to talk to you a little bit about that in a second. But before we get there, you've been talking about, replacing someone's personal shopper, and you come to people's house, and I'm sure some people are like, oh my God, Rebecca, this has got to be so expensive.
Right?
So why don't you talk to me a little bit about who your clients are? Is it just all wealthy people that make a lot of money, or do you have people that maybe have never spent a lot of money on clothes before that you're helping out?
So everybody is relieved to know that I'm like a realtor. There's no fee for my service, right? Realtor doesn't charge you to go show you a home. So just like a realtor, if I do a good job for you and I show you things that you like and you purchase them, then I get a commission from J. Hilburn. But there's no out-of-pocket expense for any of my clients ever. And I know people think custom, that means suits or celebrities or athletes, but that's just not the case for our company. Our business model is we do not have brick and mortar stores. We are fully digital, direct to consumer. So we pass those savings on to our customers. So it's the same price you would pay as if you went to the mall, to the department store, and then you're having to buy mass-produced garments. Our garments, when they are made, they are single-ply laser cut. So what's the difference? So when mass-produced garments are made, the cloth is stacked quite high, and then there's somebody pushing it through the saw that's, cutting the cloth. Well, that the top one and the bottom one are not the same size. So ours is single ply. So we just lay your cloth down, and then the pattern is laid out by computer and it's laser cut. So that's why I take measurements down to the 1/4 inch. Most people don't know this. It's very normal for one arm to be longer than the other, or one leg to be longer than the other. So we get that exact for how sometimes people are symmetrical, but it's more common for people not to be. So I get those measurements down to the 1/4 inch for you. So things are going to fit beautifully. And that's just part of the service.
Yeah, I was going to say that tailoring is really something that you can tell right off the bat if someone has tailored clothes or not, because of what you just said. That you'll buy whatever, a size 34 pair of pants, and on the shelf each pair slightly different size. They're not all exactly the same. But so your clothes are not inexpensive. So there's a lot of guys out there, and even people that make a decent amount of money. When it comes to their work clothes, maybe they spend, significant amount of money getting nice suits and that sort of thing. But when it comes to their casual wear, or, what they wear, out at night and stuff, it's much more, like the t-shirt they got, from the free run they went to, and some, like gym shorts and whatnot. So I guess my question for you on this is, what have you been telling your clients, or what have they conveyed to you to make them think that they really should upgrade their non-business attire?
Sure. So, and we've seen a lot of that in our company. Article was done about us in MR Magazine, about our casual offering, our expanded line. And two things. So you may be in a more casual environment. You may be in a more casual attire when you go back to work. So what we have a lot of my guys doing is they are still getting, like 5-pocket jeans, but instead of buying 5-pocket jeans, we make them custom 5-pocket pants, and it can be out of trefoil wool or a cashmere flannel blend or linen if you're somewhere warm. So you're still getting that casual feel and comfort, but at a fine cloth and luxury appearance. And it's no more than if you went to a department store. And then also what they're doing for the top for shirts and jackets is our knits. So instead of, kind of a stiff jacket, wool, all the things, they'll get it made out of one of our fine knits. All our cloth is milled in Italy. And so you still, on Zoom or in person, you have that profile, that sport coat profile. I have a client that tells me, oh my gosh, I feel so guilty. I feel like I'm wearing pajamas in these clothes, or a knit shirt where we'll make it just like a dress shirt, cuff, buttonhole, collar, it looks exactly like a dress shirt, but it's a comfortable knit, either wool or cotton. And so again, you're giving all the visual clues. I love, there's a masterclass by RuPaul, and he says, you want money? You like money? Wear a suit. Now, this is a guy who's made his fame for wearing dresses. And his best advice is wear a suit. And he says it's because, and I'll send you the link for the clip, it's because it fits the narrative people have in their heads about success.
That is completely true. It's completely true. So a lot of guys who are getting divorced, they just went through this. You were just talking about your boyfriend in California,
Yes.
Going through this really financially difficult divorce. Some people feel like they're devastated after the divorce and all of that. So going back to the topic of worthiness and how there's a lot of men in particular that just have never really spent money on themselves. They've put other people first. They put their wife first, their kids first. And so here they are, they're getting divorced, and they have worthiness issues, which that's obviously something that I work with them on as a divorce coach, but they have these worthiness issues. I just think it would be so wonderful if they got someone like you in their lives to just put together three outfits. And you know what? Yes, you're going to spend probably more on like a shirt than you've ever spent before. But then again, you've never done anything for yourself. Have you worked with anybody who, whenever they're buying clothes from you, this is the most they've ever spent on clothes? Do you have any of those kinds of clients?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what happens is they've put a ceiling on themselves and they want something new in their life. And they have to be willing to break down that ceiling. So the other thing the real value people get from me is their time. I get guys their clothes and they don't need to shop again for 6 months, sometimes even a year, depending on how much they just want to get it all done. But the thing is, if you consider clothes an expense, you're not spending enough. I must say that again. If you consider clothing an expense, you are not spending enough. Because, like John, I'm sure people can get divorced for cheaper than your firm does it, right? You're not the lowest price. People don't come to you. So I get that when they're writing your firm that check, when they're shopping with me, that's an investment. It's an investment in the future benefit that is going to come. So they can get a cheaper attorney to represent them, but what is that going to cost them in the long run in terms of money, but also whether or not they get the time with their kids that they want? I mean, that's priceless. So when people come to me, yes, I'm like, you are going to be somebody who spends this amount of money in a day on clothes, and that often causes them to, but they know I'm on their side. They know I'm doing the right thing for them, and they know it will pay off. So they trust me. We do the thing. They get the garments. It's like this, one of my favorite George Clooney clips. Not talking about fashion, though obviously he could. In the movie Three Kings, and they have a plan and they're going to go in and steal the gold. And one of the guys, the young guy, is like, wait, can we go over that plan again? And George Clooney says to him, you're scared, aren't you? He says, well, yeah. George Clooney says, this is the way it works. You do the thing first, then you get the courage. And this kid says, well, that's stupid. And George Clooney says, yes, but that's how it works. It's the same with dressing for success. If you wait until you get the dream job, the dream client, you're ready to raise your rates, you're ready to start your own business. If you wait for that to be a success before you spend on the garments, on the clothes, on the appearance, it's not going to happen for you. First, you do the thing, then you get the courage. First, you buy the clothes, then you get the success. That's how it works.
I think that's a great message. And I really think that guys, for the most part, have the money to have a wardrobe that matches what their inspirations are. They just don't think that spending money on clothes is the right place to put their money. I mean, you talk to a guy who will go out and, spend tens of thousands of dollars on a new car after their divorce because they want, they want the convertible, or they want something that their wife never would let them have. So they go out and buy it. But then, oh, wait, I'm going to spend $150 on a shirt? What are you talking about? So
right?
It's really just that mindset issue. It's and I think, so I think what's going on here that you've been talking about that's so powerful is that you have to adjust your thinking. First of all, you have to know that you're worth it. You're worth actually having a wardrobe that matches where you're going in life. And what's the one thing that almost all men feel like after a divorce? That they're going to be alone. It is the number one thing I hear from guys, and they won't tell you that at the beginning, but that's really what they're scared of, that their life has changed. And what better way to open the next chapter of the book and start writing it and maybe find, the new girlfriend than to, have this new wardrobe that's going to just make you feel like a different person. It's going to make you feel like you weren't that married person before, right?
Absolutely. And the thing is, it works. It absolutely works. I've seen it work. The research says it works. It works. And, say they go out and buy the car, great. But think of all the things these guys have in their garages, these toys, these whatever that they bought that they haven't used, the sound system they put in the home they're about to no longer live in. That investment did not bring them the happiness, the relationships, the connection, the time. This investment in clothes, and I know there are a lot of messages out there about men, you shouldn't care about that. That's not manly to care about that. I have this client, he's a top 1% real estate broker in his market in Northern California. And he used to say, oh, I hate going to networking events. It's so awkward. This guy does stand-up comedy as a hobby. Like, he's not a shy, quiet person, but he just felt very uncomfortable in those situations. And he said, Rebecca, I love wearing your clothes to networking events because people come up to me to give me compliments. He says, I never leave my house in your clothes that I don't get at least one compliment from friends or strangers. People stop him on the street. And that, let me tell you, that feels good. I think most men don't really know what that feels like to have people go, oh my gosh, as you walk by or come up and say, hey, that is so attractive what you have on. It is a feeling that I could describe it in great detail, but until you experience it, it's like if I describe the taste of chocolate to you, it's not going to help you know what chocolate tastes like until you take a bite. So, gentlemen, I'm here to help you take a bite.
There's a lot of guys that don't know that feeling.
Yes, I know. And it's so powerful. It is such fuel. That's why I say this is an investment. This is not about buying clothes. That's what you're doing. But it's about investing in yourself. It's about seeing yourself as I am so worth. See, I mean, our suits are not ridiculous. We're not at that sports, we don't have $10,000 suits. So say you have a $1,500 suit on, which I get is quite an investment. But that's Zania cloth, custom made to you. You pick the lining, you pick everything. So this suit just is you. And with the shoes, all the things, let's say it costs you $3,000. Are you going to sit there with that level of garment in your home, not going out at night, not going to a networking event, not asking somebody out on a date, not going to your boss's office and saying, hey, it's time to talk about my salary or my bonus, or talk to your client? Say you need to have a meeting with your clients and say, hey, my billable hours, my rate, my fees, whatever, they're going up substantially. You going to do that in sweatshirt and shorts? Of course not. You need to do it in your very best attire.
And of course, one of the joys, Rebecca, about being a man, being able to buy a suit is you can wear it a lot. You can wear it, several days a week, just change maybe color of your shirt. And you've got, women, they don't really have that luxury. They have to buy like single outfits for everything. That's why being a man really is.
There's some nice perks.
There are nice perks, and you can actually spend money and get just a few nice outfits that you can wear in so many different contexts that no one even knows that you're wearing the same pants 3 days in a row because you've changed everything up.
And I'm going to tell you scientifically why that's so. Because the brain tracks quality and luxury. I told you about the Princeton study. There was another study done in the UK and in Turkey where they showed people a picture of a gentleman in a custom-made suit. His face was pixelated, so they just saw the body, right, the garments, for 3 seconds. And then they showed them a picture of a person in a similar off-the-rack, mass-produced suit. Similar. 3 seconds, and asked people what they thought. They did not say, oh, that guy's better dressed. What they said is that guy is more competent, more successful, a higher earner, and more flexible. I don't know what flexible has to do with any of it, but if you are going in to talk to your boss, if you're joining a board, if you are going to start dating again, don't you want people thinking that about you in the first 3 seconds without you even opening your mouth?
Yeah. Well, it's who are you attracting? Who are you attracting to you? I mean, that's really that's what it boils down to. I've interviewed many people over the years where, they come in and just the way they appear. Not just their clothes, but little things like just having clean fingernails and hair that, doesn't look like it's out of bed.
Listen, my hair lady had to come over at 8 a.m. this morning. I was like, listen, I need a house call. And she said, hey, there's an extra fee for that. And I said, of course there is. I expect it. And I gave her an even higher tip than usual. It was a good investment. I invested myself because you and your viewers are worth it. I don't know if you, one of the books I give often to my clients is called Big Money Energy by Ryan Serhant, he's one of the real estate brokers on $1 Million Listing New York. He has a whole chapter on what to wear. This guy did 1.4 billion with a B, billion in transactions in 2019. And he has an entire chapter of his book about how to dress to be successful and have big money energy.
Yeah. And I really want to just remind people, I mean, Rebecca's been talking a lot about, suits and, the business aspect, but guys, you really, really, really need to be dressing for what the life you want every single day. I mean, even when you're, going out to dinner, at a place that's, not fancy, that's just casual, and you're going out on a date perhaps. I mean, this is what we're talking about, dressing for the life that you want. And that's
exactly.
Really, and because most of the viewers of this show are going through a divorce, thinking about going through a divorce, really, we're just talking about trying to reinvent yourself a little bit. And I know that phrase gets overused, but it's really, you've been this one person. Your life has now changed. You're no longer going to be married. And I just feel, and this is the reason why I had to have you on, Rebecca, when I met you, is because men don't.
I love being told that.
Well, men do not think about getting a new wardrobe when they start the next chapter of
They
life.
don't.
Women do that all the time. Men don't think about that. Like I said, men think about, oh, let me go buy a toy. Let me go buy a motorcycle or a car or, whatever. That's how they think. But clothing, yeah, it's almost like food. It's just something you have to have because you can't walk out of the house without clothes on. And they don't associate it the way that you've been talking to us about, which is the way they need to think about it. That it's all about changing your mindset.
You are going to have greater financial pressures now. You need to put yourself in the best possible position. I can say for my boyfriend, who is actually how I got into this. He was actually had a Hilburn stylist and was dressing this way, and it worked. Look, and that's how I ended up doing this. But you really, when he got divorced, he was like, there's a big number out there that he has to meet every month before he spends one single dollar on his own self, right? And he had to really take it up a notch. And this has been a very important part of him taking it up a notch. And even his kids are noticing, like, gosh, you're really making a lot more money now, aren't you? So I know, just as in people think divorce, they can't afford divorce. Divorce is expensive. Divorce is going to deplete them and cost them. You're paying a cost to be unhappy. Now, you don't have to write that check every month, but there is a cost and there's an impact, and it's not to your benefit. Same thing with thinking that clothes are just clothes and I'll just go to, Nordstrom Rack and, they have $20, $30 shirts there. And you can do that, but then you're going to have those results. If you want to have the results, that, hey, I've got there is a check to be written here. How am I going to meet that? And investing in your appearance and your attire is the greatest. Gosh, I have an article I posted on LinkedIn about a guy who spent $690,000 on clothes. I'm not suggesting you do that. If you're going to spend that, I do hope you shop with me. But his ROI was 4 times that. And I'll share you that article with you all as well. Your garments, your attire, your appearance. And it's not because this is not about fashion or mean girls or personality, right? So this is what I was mentioning earlier about being Homo sapiens. Our brain, the reason we've made it and some of our ancestors didn't, is because our brain is constantly searching for patterns that tell us that we're safe, we're okay, we're in a good place. And one of the ways it does that, this is back to your comment about a suit, is it looks and surveys the landscape. And when it sees somebody in luxury, high quality, put together type of appearance, your brain says, okay, you're okay. You know what? You should go talk to that person. Look at their mojo. And the brain does not track variety. That's why, as a gentleman, you can have a suit and wear the slacks one day with a sweater. The next day is the whole suit. Another time with a different top. You can do the jacket with funky t-shirt and jeans one day with a button down another. So it's not, the brain doesn't track variety. You don't need to have 20 different suits. But as Princeton proved, you need to have very high quality garments when you are going out. And also that Princeton study showed, that saying you have 7 seconds to make a first impression, wrong. Less than 1 second, 130 milliseconds. That's how quickly we assess each other, not because we're jerks, but because our brain is doing that thing that made sure that we're here. And, not everybody made it, right? Not everybody made it this far. Our brain is always surveying and it's looking for consistency. So you don't need a wide variety of clothes and garments and styles. You want people, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love how you're bringing science into this so much because, it's not your opinion. Most people who I interview, they're bringing their opinion, which is obviously educated, but you've actually done the research, and that's absolutely, and if you think about it, it's true. I mean, everyone listening to this, it's true. You survey people when you're at a mall, you can kind of get a sense of who people are just by looking around, and they don't even have to open their mouths, nothing. But one thing you just said a minute ago that I wanted to be sure I addressed was you were sort of talking in a different way about this universal law of abundance and you versus lack. And I think this is a good message for people that are going through a divorce. You were talking about how your boyfriend has to write a check. So this really big check before he can spend any other money, but he got this new wardrobe because he had to really up his game and make more money. And it's the message I give my coaching clients all the time. Don't concentrate on lack. Don't concentrate on, how much money you have to write in this check. Concentrate on all the new doors that are going to open. Concentrate on what you can do. Money you can replace, right? We can't replace time. You can replace money. And I think if you just listen to what Rebecca's saying today about how the outfit can be part of that new you, that will also help you make more money, because everyone's got a different motivation in life. Let's be honest. It might be getting a new girlfriend. It might be making more money. Guess what? Rebecca can help you with both of those things, right? Because those are both related to how you're dressing.
Right. Exactly. And the thing is, most women, we're not looking for the flashiest guy, the whatever. We're looking at what we want to see is somebody who's competent. Are you competently put together? Are you competently social? Are you competent at your career or your business? We're not looking for, the bling. We really aren't. Some women are, and if that's your thing, go be with them. That's not what I'm advocating or directing people towards. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no judgment. But what we're looking for is, do you get it? Are you put together? Do you know how to move forward? Are we going to feel comfortable with you? And consistency is a huge part of establishing rapport and trust. Are you look great on the first date and like a schlub on the second? I'm a runner. I have those shirts too. I would never wear them on a social event with a gentleman. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. So we've talked a lot about the why. Why is this important? Let's just briefly touch on how. So
Sure.
What is it you actually do for those people that have never interacted with a personal stylist and may be like, okay, these words are all wonderful. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Why don't you talk a little bit about exactly what it is that you do?
Sure. So the first step is getting a gentleman's measurements. And I want you to know, wherever you are at in your fitness and your health, I have exactly what you need to be tremendously well put together and attired. I don't know if you're a football fan, but the big swagoo, Marcus Spears, is our company ambassador. He's a big fella. He's a former NFL football player, now on ESPN, in case you don't know who that is. We have clothes for NFL guys who are that size all the way down, and everything in between. So I get your measurements. I can do that one of two ways. I'm able to come and do it in person in your home or office or wherever. Or I can also do it digitally, which is what we were doing during the pandemic. Is I get on Zoom, and then a gentleman would have a friend or family member. One of my clients had his 9-year-old, and I talk them through how to take all of the measurements. Done. That takes about 30 minutes. And once I have your measurements, I'm going to ask you some things about how you like things to fit, etc. Then I can start doing my part, and I create style boards for people. They tell me, I like this kind of suit, or I want this kind of casual pant. Right now it's summer, so a lot of people are interested in linen. We have some great linen blends if you're concerned about, rumpling. But they tell me what they're looking for, and then I start putting together the style boards, and I give them just a couple, gentlemen, just a couple of options. And so I'm like, this one or that one. And then we just kind of winnow it down some of my guys, not very many, but some really enjoy the process of picking, the lining, the buttons, all those things. If you're one of those guys, we're going to have a great time. If you're not one of those guys, don't worry. I'm going to do all of that for you. So I style the garments, and it's so much fun, and it just gives so much personality to what you have. We monogram them if you like, and then they are made and shipped directly to your door. No fuss, no muss.
I love that. And for most men who are getting divorced, they probably had their wives picking out their clothes for a large part of their marriage, because most men wear the clothes they get as gifts or clothes that their wives bring home. So,
Gosh,
look,
yes.
Rebecca can help you there.
Yes, I had a guy who was recently divorced, and this was in Florida, and everything he owned was blue because that's what his wife liked, and he wanted to make her happy. And this guy, he just had so much personality. He was just such a vibrant life force that I was like, okay, we're going to get you some different colors here that really express that. 2 weeks later, his dance card was full.
Awesome. Well, I think that, some people might be a little overwhelmed listening to you because they've never, this is just outside of what they normally do. I mean, there might be some guys that are watching that think, shopping at Banana Republic is, upscale shopping. But I think it's all, if you know what your life looks like, right? You know that your life is where you want it to be or not where you want it to be. If it's not where you want it to be, which I think most people would say that if they're being honest with themselves, particularly after a divorce, because you're just gone through this horrible process, you need to do things that help propel you to a new place. Yes. And this conversation is giving you something in a box that's, wrapped for you to open. I mean, this is something you can do that's not that hard. Yes, it costs a little money, but it's not that hard, and it's something that can pay dividends, no matter what it is, whether you want to make more money, whether you want to meet somebody new, you want to meet somebody totally unlike your wife, which probably means you shouldn't dress the way that you've been dressing, your entire life.
Thank you.
Whatever it is, it's such a good investment in you. And I really hope that people understand that a stylist isn't just for the wealthy. It's for people that care about themselves and care about their future, and they really just want to exude that confidence. So, Rebecca, if anyone wants to work with you, how would they do that?
So I encourage anybody and everybody, give me a call, send me an email. I'm happy to talk to you. I can't sell anybody anything until I get them measured. So I am happy to have as many conversations as you would like. I will never ask you to buy anything over the phone. I simply can't. So the best thing to do, and I encourage you, is call or text me on my cell phone, which is 305-803-3355. I know it's a little old-fashioned to talk on the phone. I'm a bit of an old-fashioned gal. You can text, or you can email me. It's my name, rebecca.johnson@jhilburnpartner.com. I'll give it to you so it'll all be in the notes. Also, I want to offer big money energy to the first guys who do either call or text me. You can just text me your name and address, and I will send you that book. So the first 5 guys will get big money energy from me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. I learned so much just listening to you. So I know the people listening did as well.
Wonderful. That is my goal. They are all great guys. I am sure of it. And if I can in any way be a part of their team as they start this next chapter, and guys, I'm proof your next chapter can be better.
Great. Well, thank you again. And if you want to work with Rebecca, she just gave you all of her contact information. And you could also go to rebeccajohnson.jhilburn.com, which is her website. You can see a little bit about what it is she does. But really, guys, invest in yourself. just invest in yourself. You will be happy that you did. Trust us. All right. And if you like today's show, please don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.